Here we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate cancer, bone cancer, and lung cancer patient. Been battling for 2 years now, and things are getting better. I'm doing a lot better. I had an incredible surprise that made my day yesterday, and I want to share it with you. I went through 6 rounds of chemo last year, and one of the things that they do when you finish chemo, generally, is that you get to ring the bell and they take pictures and everything like that. And it's a big thing. And unfortunately for me, I didn't get to do that. And so I was telling Pamela McCulloch, who I interviewed and is posted on the channel last week, and I was telling her this. She picked up on that. And so yesterday, I got a package in the mail, and this is what I got. And so she sent me a bell, and I thought it was actually for my daughter because she's prepping for a wedding. And I looked at the note and it said, "This is a gift from Pamela." And I was like, oh my goodness, what an incredible, thoughtful thing to do. And I made a post on LinkedIn. And so that made my day. And the point of this is we can all make a difference in somebody else's life with something small. This small thing is actually was a huge thing for me. It just stunned me. It actually stunned me, and it really made me think and appreciate the cancer community and the beautiful people that I have had the great fortune to get involved with. And so I wanted to share that with everyone. And segueing into our next segment here, I am so honored and fortunate to introduce to you, and we have a little running joke because this is the 3rd time we've tried to do it, and we're going to do it. We're going to record this, and it's going to happen. And I'd like to introduce to everyone Russ Hedge. Go ahead, Russ. Please introduce yourself, and let's get this going.
All right. Well, listen, I am so blessed and honored to be with you, Mark. And it's yes, we tried and we couldn't get on the right link, and all kinds of things happen. You would think we have no idea what we're doing, like we had never done this before, like we don't live stream a million times a week and all this stuff. But I am just blessed that we made it. I think God finally took control. We talked about that and just said, "Let me take this. I got it. We're going to get you two together." So no, it is such an honor. And you are such an amazing person. I have been blessed. At least we've been able to talk like 3 or 4 times trying to get together. And so that's been a blessing for me. And I think you and I laugh half the time when we're actually talking. So, so yes, you're full of a lot of joy. You're an amazing story. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate you. Just to let people know who I am, my name is Russ Hedge. I am your marketing coach. I'm also a keynote speaker. I'm a live streamer and a live stream producer. My wire purpose in life is to inspire and encourage you to live a purpose-driven life of significance. And what do I mean by that? I want you to be a world changer. I want you to be a difference maker. I want you to make an impact on this world like Mark has done, like Tim Stone has done, like so many of our friends who survived cancer have done. And I've been through the experience with family members. We probably will talk about that. So I'm very familiar with the process and dealing with things happening. But yeah, it has just been just great blessing for me to be part of this community. And again, thanks for having me on, Mark.
Oh, thank you so much. I am really excited to do this and to share this platform with you, because you have such an amazing attitude and positive attitude. And so let's get into it. Can you share with us your relationship with cancer? Because that's where is a good place to start.
Yeah, I mean, besides great friends who have had to deal with that, I've had direct exposure in my family. My dad had got lung cancer, and that's probably been, I'm trying to think now, he's been gone 5 years now. And before that, it was about 8 years before that. So it's about, what is that, 13, 14 years ago. And when he was diagnosed with that, he had a spot that was cancerous on his lung. He had been a lifelong smoker. So, I mean, it wasn't really a total shock because I always thought this might happen to my parents who had both smoked. And so he had to go into the hospital, have 3/4 or more of one lung taken out. So basically, one lung was gone. I mean, the other little part was not doing anything. They might have well taken it all out. I think they had to leave a little part just the way that works. But so anyway, he struggled and almost didn't make it after the surgery because his other lung didn't want to take over because he had emphysema and other things in that lung that were causing problems. But after several months in intensive care and then in the hospital, he was actually released. He went on, just to kind of tell the complete story, he went on to live for several more years, but really struggled towards the end. At the last year of his life, the cancer came back really strong in the last 6 months. And he ended up passing away from cancer, and he had dementia at the end too, which made it even more kind of rough at the end. But I was able to go through that experience of because I was at the hospital so much during the initial thing. In fact, our whole family spent one Christmas day at the hospital. That's where my sister and her family, I have one sibling, and me and my family, we all came together and we actually exchanged gifts at the hospital. And can you believe it? This is a hospital in Portland, Oregon. They didn't even have Christmas dinner at the hospital. They didn't have any turkey. They didn't have anything. I thought at least they would have had something that resembled Christmas, but they didn't. So we had to have toasted cheese and scrambled eggs. I can't remember what it was. It was just that kind of food, whatever they had. But I think a lot of this journey for me, so not being the one with cancer, but being a family member, what was really tough is watching my dad struggle and all that he went through. Watching it was very tough on my mom. My mom, it was only, it was 5 years later, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she just actually passed away just over a month ago. But it was quite a struggle, and it was tough on family members. It was tough on figuring out how we were going to help them and all the things that were going into that. So, yeah, it's no laughing matter, as much as I love joy and I love to laugh with you, Mark. And you know what? My parents would want me to still have that joy and still laugh. But when you're in the middle of it, as you know, it's not a laughing matter. When you're in the middle, you're almost kind of angry sometimes and frustrated and wonder why all this is happening. Even if it's not happening directly to you, like it happened to you, Mark, you're wondering, why is this happening to my dad? Why is he having to go through all this? He has given and blessed people so much. Why is he having to struggle? And it's tough. It's really tough.
So please talk about your relationship with your father, because that is really, really something great.
Well, he was an amazing man. He was an amazing father, great role model, great male role model. In my book, you see behind me there, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. There's stories about my dad. He was the core hub of the family. When his parents got old and then passed on, my dad basically assumed the mantle of the head of the family. He had a couple sisters, and then there was a lot of extended family, and dad was really at the focus of that. He was loving, giving. He would be off helping people do things. He was always involved. As a father, he and my mom both told me, do whatever you would like to do. Be involved in whatever in school. Don't worry about working. We'll help you. You can do odd jobs around the house and make a few bucks. You don't need to go work your school years away. Just get out there and have fun. And so I did everything. I was a little over busy. I was doing sports and music and all this stuff. But what was amazing about my dad and amazing about my parents is they were at everything, every performance, everything we did. My dad would show up to, if he wasn't helping coach, he would show up and watch practice, right? And he'd be sitting up. I remember our football stadium in high school was kind of down in a canyon. He'd be in his work truck, which was a bright baby blue truck. And everybody knew my dad because he was on every committee and everything. And so they would see him and they go, hey, Hedge, there's your dad up there. And I said, there he is. And when you're young, it's kind of embarrassing, but it makes you feel good because they care. And every night I needed to throw, I was a quarterback, so I needed to throw the football at least 100 times every night. And he'd be the one out there. He had bad feet. He had polio when he was a young child. And he would be out there with me, throwing the football, taking, helping me out and talking with me. And it was a great relationship. And so, if people ask me today, who is my idol and who do I look up to? Number one, it was my dad, because he really did that. And how we turn into our parents. So my poor kids, I have 2 kids and they had to suffer through. If I wasn't coaching, I was at their practices. I was at my wife and I together were at their games and their performances and all that. But I was also there at their practices. And I thought, I've become my dad. I'm showing up at everything. But, my kids appreciated that. They do. They look back and they appreciate having parents who were involved with them.
Makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
All the difference in the world. In fact, my daughter, she was a gymnast from the age of 2, my daughter Tani. And so I went to every single, she was a gymnast from the age of 2 to I think it was about 15. I went to every single gymnastics meet. We carted her. Her gym was actually about an hour and a half, depending on traffic, away, which we dropped her off and picked her up between my wife and I 5 days a week, and sometimes more on the weekends. There were the meets. And so, yeah, it does make a huge difference, because we have great communication. I mean, every single day I talk to her and text her, and it's because of all of the things that we did when she was growing up that made the difference.
Oh, that's amazing, Mark. And I mean, I can just tell by the kind of person you are that you would be like that. And, I think having it be done to me, I had such great role models, and my dad was leading the charge that, that I experienced how much that meant to me, and how that, and I've had so many parents say their kids get in trouble, they get off with the wrong group, they do things, and they go, yeah, I just don't know what happened. I just don't know what's going on. And I'm thinking, yeah, maybe that's the problem. Because you know what? Well, they're always busy. They're off doing stuff. I can't keep up with them. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what my parents did. And this is where I learned it. I was busy all over the place. They let me go. They let me do my stuff, but they came to me and followed me. They came to watch this. They came to watch that. They came to be involved in this. They got involved in this at school. They were doing things. So they were around, even though I was doing all this crazy, busy stuff. They were still involved with it. They still knew my friends. They still knew the families that I was hanging out with. They still knew what was going on. Plus, they were always very big advocates of having people over to our house. So we lived in a pretty big house out in 5 acres, and we were surrounded by acres and acres and acres of woods. It was a great place to grow up as a kid. I was like Tom Sawyer out in the wilderness, it was great. And so I would always bring friends over, tons of friends to the house. And not that they didn't let me go anywhere else, but they just encouraged to have them over. Which was nice, because then they met all my friends. They knew what was going on. They met the families. And it makes a big difference as a parent to really know the environment your kids are in, the circles they're in. And they taught me that. And my dad, leading the charge, he was always always there and always making sure he knew what was going on. But at the same time, we just did things. We would fish together. We would, we would just throw the football together. We would just do stuff. Even though his feet hurt, he'd come out and shoot baskets with me I had a basketball court outside of our house, and he'd come out and shoot baskets with me. And he was just always doing things. Even if it hurt him, he was still involved. And so yeah, that was it was amazing. I'm blessed. I know everybody doesn't have that, so I'm just blessed.
Yeah, I'm blessed as well. And in fact, thanks, Mom, for everything. My dad has passed away as well. In fact, my mom, to this day, she watches every single video and makes a comment. And so, hi, Mom. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Hi, Mom.
Thank you. Thank you for your critiques. And yeah, I am so blessed that you are here. So,
yeah. Well, it is tough. I was just going to say it is tough when, my mom just passed. I think the toughest thing for me was the realization that both my parents were gone. I'm a man of faith, and I believe that I'll see them again. And I believe that they're in a much happier place, and that, they're not going through all the suffering. And my mom, at the end, Alzheimer's basically shuts down your body. And the last couple of weeks, I spent most of the time just holding her hand, singing to her, reading to her, and just, being with her. But she wasn't there. And so knowing that she's much better off and that she doesn't have to suffer through all of that, I feel good about, but you still miss them. It's, having your parents gone. And so it's kind of like a huge hole that you have, no matter how you rationalize. And I do think of the good things. My mom would probably kick my behind if I didn't. She was the super happy one. I'm going to show you this here. This is my mom with my kids. And if you can see that they're all dying laughing, that's my mom. I mean, that is 100%. That picture is my mom. She's always laughing and having fun. Joy, that was in her memory care, I think. Well, it was in one of her senior homes, but anyway, it was in the last couple of years. And so, but the whole point was she kept the joy up to the end. So even though it's hard, I really work to keep that joy, even though you're struggling with things in your life. Like Mark, you're dealing with cancer and treatments, and all these things are going on. You got to keep that joy, because there's always something good in everything you're going through. The situation you're going through may not be good. It may be crummy, may be horrible, but there's always something good that you're getting out of life or learning in the process, no matter how bad it is, the things that are happening to you. So I just hold on to those happy moments.
Oh, that's beautiful. And to share, I lost my dad to Alzheimer's as well. And in fact, it was ironic because it was on April 1st of 2021. And it was such a bittersweet day, because that was a day that I got out of the hospital after being in the hospital for a week with a botched lung biopsy. And that particular morning on April 1st, I got a call very early from my sister saying that he had passed away. And so, on the one hand, I was glad to be getting out of the hospital, but, to have your dad pass away, that's
right.
That's tough. So.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, well, unless you've gone through it, you don't know. And this is what I learned as an early parent. I was one of the stupid early parents, because you always think, when you're young, you always think, right?
Yes.
I'm the one. My daughter was a compliant child. My son was all boy. And so when my daughter would sit happily in the cart and other people were throwing themselves on, other kids were throwing tantrums, I told my wife, our kids will never do that. Well, joke on me, because my son, that was his natural tendency. So the minute something happened, he did that. I'm like, who taught him that? Right. I didn't teach him that. But, that goes back to things with our parents and everything. Because a lot of times I equate my parents in older age to my kids. It's similar. You have no idea what's really happening until you go through it. And with my parents and deal with Alzheimer's and deal with cancer and all of that, I learned so much and I became wiser and wiser. I have a long ways to go, but I can tell you between the two of them, I have a lot more wisdom now on how those situations should be handled, because you make mistakes and you do stupid things and then you realize you should have done something differently. And yeah, I mean, really in the long run, that itself is a blessing, because you get a lot of empathy and knowledge for life to share with others.
Absolutely. Can you share what you shared with me before we started about the gift that you received?
Oh, yeah. So, it was just over a month ago that my mama passed away. And it was a lot of friends just really was, they're such a blessing. I mean, I process both verbally, as you can tell, I like to talk. I process verbally, but I also process by writing. So I wrote a couple posts because there's so many people that knew my mom, and I had posted happy moments with mama videos, and a lot of people came into the whole thing there. So I let people know what had happened and what a blessing it was. And I even did this one post like the day before she passed. I was holding her hand, and I just felt compelled to do that. And so anyway, so a lot of my friends knew what was going on, and I had a really, really good friend. I just saw her today, in fact. And she went through the same thing. Her mom passed away from Alzheimer's, and she's been going through things with her family. She sent me this book called Instant Happy, because it reminded her of me. It's just a bunch of happy quotes, and as my wife would say, I'm Mr. Pollyanna. I'm the everything is happy guy. And so, and it's true. That's my personality, right? But what is such a blessing for this, it's really not that big of a deal. To people might think, but to me, it was a huge deal. Just like you and the bell. I mean, she writes inside, this book reminded me of you and your fun and precious moments with your sweet mama. And I thought, that is so awesome that somebody cares enough not only to pay attention to what's going on in my life while she's got her own problems in her life, but also to take a moment to send me something to just make me smile. And even people like me, Mark, and you know this, we need some encouragement sometimes. We need that. We need a hand up at times, because we go through moments like everybody else.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the further I go in this cancer journey, I am so convinced that the things that are quote unquote little are actually really, really, really big. I mean, for instance, when I was stuck in my room for about 3 months last year because I was so weak, I could barely walk across the room. And one of the greatest days was when I was able to walk downstairs and I opened up my front door for the first time in 3 months. It was amazing. It was amazing for me just to see the sky, to see the trees, to smell the air outside. I mean, so I think, our lives are so busy and people are so busy that we all tend to take some of the most amazing things for granted. And
Right.
and so we could all make an impact on somebody's life by, going that little bit of extra mile, giving that smile, saying hello.
Right.
One of the things I do, I walk every day, and I make it a point to say, anybody I see, I say hello. I wave at the cars driving
You and
by.
I talked about that. That's right. We're just alike there. My kids go, Dad, stop. Oh. Well, it's because you're appreciating things, Mark. You are. See, I mean, we forget the little things we take for granted, to be able to walk out in the sunshine and breathe in the fresh air, and to be able to do those things. I remember after I had knee replacement surgery, and I remember when I was able to get outside with a cane and actually walk in the grass a little bit. It was a big deal. Now, I didn't get hold up as long as you, because they get you walking pretty fast with knee surgery, but it's just the idea that something I took for granted, that was slowly going away, the ability to handle walking with my knee and doing anything really. When I had that surgery, suddenly I was able again to do things and function. It took a little while to recover, but yeah, I mean, it just, all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, this is really a little thing that's a big thing, right? It's a big thing, because just the ability to do that. I walk every morning too, like you. And I think of that every morning. I like quiet time. I walk my dog, and I exercise in the mornings. And I just think I'm blessed for the ability to do that. Yesterday, I was in the pool swimming laps, and I was thinking, what a blessing that I can get in here and I can function. And my legs work to kick, my arms work to do strokes, and I can actually swim, and I can do these things. It's really, I mean, especially the older we get. I like to call myself 58 years young. But when you think about that, we're on the backside of our life. I mean, I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak for us. I'm on the backside of my life. Unlikely that I'm going to live to 116, right? I don't think I want to live to 116 on this earth, at least. But you know what I'm saying? And, you really start thinking, wow, I should really value and just pay attention, be actually focused on how blessed I am for every moment that I get.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, Russ, you and I could talk for hours and hours and hours.
Yes, we could.
And it's a great thing. Um, so, what would you say, out of your experience with your parents, what would be the biggest lesson that you've taken from that experience as far as seeing, what your parents had to go through?
Right. Well, my beautiful wife reminds me of this a lot of times too. The biggest lesson I learned there was to be present. And not see, I'm a guy, we're fixers, and we're always trying to do things, and we're trying to massage the situation. And that's one of my things I do, right? And instead of being that way all the time, sometimes we just have to be there. Sometimes we just have to be present. The time that I just actually sat there with my mama holding her hand, maybe singing to her, she couldn't sing back with me anymore, but just being there. I mean, those times were precious. And I thought to myself, and I knew when I got to that point, I knew it was really, really short. I knew that, it could happen at any time. And I just think we really need to live that way every moment, because we may feel like we're doing okay and everything's going great and we're healthy and strong, but just like that, things can change. And that's not a negative. I don't mean that as a negative. The thing is, we just have to know that just like that, things can change. And we need to be thankful. I don't know that I mentioned this to you, but just a side note, in my book, and this isn't a plug for my book, by the way. But in
Go ahead and plug for your book, by the way.
Okay. Okay, it's called Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, and it's available on Amazon and all online booksellers. And it's an encouraging book. It's about living the life you choose. I always tell people, life happens and then you choose. People constantly say to me, I can't control life around me, all this stuff. I have no control. And I say to them, you know what? You're right. What's happening to you, what's out of your control, you have no control of that. What you have control of is you. You have control of what do you choose to do after it's happened to you. Life is happening, but you got to choose where you go from there, right? And so I had the chapter is called Gone in an Instant. and is chapter 7, which is 7 is my favorite number, God's perfect number. It's about a miracle that happened in my life. After my freshman year of college, I was 19. I got in a horrific car accident and almost died. Had it not been for the grace of God and incredibly smart people that came on the scene, I had a couple nurses and some emergency workers that came on that were smart. They called for Lifeline from a Portland hospital that landed, blocked the whole highway, landed and lifelighted me on this helicopter to a hospital.
Wow.
Where there was a trauma center where the trauma doctors all worked on me and saved my life. Had they not done that, had they sent me via ambulance, they're pretty convinced I wouldn't have made it. And so the bottom line of that, though, is having a perspective of how important every moment of your life is. I was young, I was healthy, I was strong, but I was this close to being gone from this earth. And because I was young and healthy, and I had the miracle, and then the doctors helping put me back together, I was actually recovered miraculously quickly. This was July 9th, 1983. And by the fall, which is September of 83, I was back at Oregon State at college, which they all said was impossible, right?
Wow.
So miracle of God, yes. Miracle working doctors, yes. And all of that, but it was because I was young. But again, I was young and healthy and strong, but I was this close to being gone. And so the whole point, again, is not a negative. The whole point is I just look at life with joy. I just look at life with, I get to do this. And yes, I'm still sad at times. I'm still angry at times. I'm still frustrated and, anxious at times like everybody else.
You're
But
human.
Exactly. But then I choose not to stay there. I choose to move from there. You got to give yourself time to grieve when your parent passes away. You do, but you just can't stay there. Give yourself time and then move on in a positive direction. And people will say to me too, Mark, and I'm sure they have to you, and you've gone through some tough things. Well, that's easier to say than to do. And I go, yep, you're right. So what, right? I mean, it may be easier to say than to do, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you don't want, if you're not doing it, it means you don't want to do it. And, people need to realize they got to think within themselves. Am I not doing this because I can't do it? Or am I not doing this because I really just don't want to do it? And so people need to think of that, because living a positive, joyful life is possible for everybody. They just need to make that choice. Even if the circumstances are crazy, you are not captive by your circumstances. You are not captive by the bad things going on in your life. You get to choose your attitude. So,
and that's, you made a good point about choosing, because that choice starts every single time that you open your eyes. The choice begins. And,
right.
you have control of that. You have control, about your day, how you're gonna, progress through your day. You have that choice, and people tend to let circumstances influence that.
Yes. Well, and I am a huge fan of good morning routine. I don't care when you get up. Now, I'm a 4 a.m. guy, right? And so before I get up every morning, I do 3 things, and I write about this in my book too. This is my morning ritual. I first say I'm thankful. I'm blessed and grateful for all that God has given me, my family, my beautiful wife, all that I have. Number 2, I say, I've got this. I give myself a little pep talk, and I say, you can do it, right? And people are saying, yeah, I can't do that at 4 a.m. And then I say, today's going to be awesome. And people say, I really can't do that at 4 a.m. But you know what? I always tell people, I'm not telling you what to say and what to do. The reason I give that example of what I do is because that is how I shape my mindset in the morning. Now, is it a perfect plan that I get out of bed and the birds sing and the stars align and everything is fabulous through my day? Oh, no. I might walk out the door and someone might hit me in my car. I might fall down and break my leg. I mean, all kinds of things could happen. But when you start on a positive note with a positive perspective, things are not nearly so bad as when you wake up worrying, anxious, negative, all these kind of things. You have a choice over that. And how you start your day is really, really important. So anyway, I'm just a big fan of that.
So am I. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Russ, can you, we got to wrap it up here, but can you share with us how people can reach out to you and how people can find out where you are?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, I love people. I love to connect. Please connect with me. RussHedge.com. RussHedge, my name.com. It's simple as that. There is every connection you need, all my social media, my email, my phone number. You can even schedule time directly, as Mark has done, on my calendar. We've both done it back and forth and never could figure out whose calendar we were on. But anyway, but yeah, you can schedule time right on my calendar to chat with you. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage you because I love to connect with people. In fact, my goal for this year, Mark, is to connect with over 1,000 new people. And I'm just knocking that out of the park. People think, oh my goodness, 1,000 people. That's really only about 3 people a day. And so it's not undoable. And I just love to connect with people. Some days I connect with 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Other days I connect with a couple people, but an average of 3 people is not as hard as people think. And I just love to meet new people. Mark, you and I, we're able to meet through a mutual friend online, and you are an amazing guy. And I already consider you a great friend. So anybody who can put up with me this long trying to get on the right link has got to be a good guy.
Yeah, but the thing is, we've had a great time.
Yeah.
We've I mean, I've just thoroughly enjoyed, through all of the mishaps and everything like that. We've gotten a chance to talk and
Yeah.
get to know each other, which has been fantastic, absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. And, we'll have to do it again sometime. And, we're a force, definitely.
Well, and I'm definitely having you on one of my live streams too, so we'll have to talk about that. But thank you. What an honor and a pleasure to be your friend and to be able to be on this live stream. And thank you everybody for watching. And again, RussHedge.com. I'd love to chat with you.
Fantastic, Russ. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. And just like we talked about, this little bell, which made a big difference for me, the book that made such a big difference for Russ, go outside your comfort zone. Say hello to that stranger. Smile to somebody. You know, make an effort to think beyond you and think of somebody else
Right.
and make somebody's day. So thank you so much for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. And make sure you take advantage of every single day, every hour, every minute, and every breath. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week. We did it.
Woohoo!